Just hate him. Nobody ignores him. It's the Charlie Kirk Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Email us, as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. Subscribe to our podcast. More on the census and the fight over tabulation. Who would ever think this is how sneaky and how deceitful the American left is? Something as simple as a census has been corrupted by these parasites, has been corrupted by this corrosive cancer known as the American left, where now we have a fight over how we count. How we count. Everything the left does, they undermine objective reason and truth. Make sure you guys take out your phone and subscribe to the Charlie Kirk Show podcast. We've had quite a week. I've been all over the place. I had an Air Force Academy Board of Visitors meeting, which I have a lot to share about that. Not breaking news, but I could share about that maybe in the members only hour. We had our pastor summit. I was in New York this week. I was in Maine this week. I was all over the place. And I'm glad to be back here in Phoenix, Arizona. Sunday night, we are going to have one of the biggest events that we've ever had as a standalone event. It's going to be at Steve Smotherman's church, Legacy Church in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Can you spell Albuquerque without Googling it? If you can, you're pretty smart. Albuquerque, Sunday night. See you there. Be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Email us, freedom@charliekirk.com. For the record, it's ALBUQUERQUE. 3 U's. Wade Miller continues us. Wade, so I think this is a perfect way to bring in the super geniuses of Doge. What would you have them do? If you were kind of a special government employee and you were in charge of this task force, how would you put 20 rocket scientists to work on this?
Well, with the coordination of Doge and Howard Lutnick, who's in charge of commerce, who oversees the Bureau, and he's a very smart man. But I think between those two, I think you would need to remove the current, top 2 or 3 bureaucrats there. I think that these are holdovers from the Obama administration. They should not be there. They're not in line with the president's vision on this to begin with. We need to bring in our own people, not just Doge, but we have some people that have done a lot of census work for a very long time who know where these skeletons are buried. They know how this works. They would be able to go in there, work with the Doge team to immediately correct this, to immediately fix the differential privacy problem that's in there that masks a lot of this data and moves it around. And again, it's all speculative. It could be a little, it could be an enormous amount. And given all of the scandals and corruption and weaponization of government, I'm not willing to concede that it's not a lot. It could be a substantial amount of corruption in the data from the last census. Either way, we know that there is corruption in the data. That's just inherent in the process. The question is how much. But the Doge team could get in there with their programming people and quickly fix this. I think one of my bigger concerns is that the Commerce Department needs to send a letter notifying the census to retain all of their records, anything related to this work. I don't want to see these bureaucrats start to cover their tracks, delete text messages, delete things to try to cover their tracks on what they've done with this differential privacy corruption. But I think that they would very quickly be able to right the ship on this. And then the administration itself, I think, figured some of this out towards the end of the last administration and tried to fix some of it, but ran into some regulatory hurdles, Administrative Procedures Act problems. I think they've got enough runway. They know what needs to be done on most of this. And then certainly I hope that if there are any gaps that they read our paper. But I think that they have the legal, constitutional, and statutory basis to fix all of this and then correct the numbers. And then really we need, in order to get the maximum gain out of all this, there are some things that Congress could do, and they're on our paper. They're minor reforms that would make some of this easier so that the administration doesn't have to go through the APA process on all of this kind of stuff moving forward. But the next census definitely for the 2030 cycle needs to be fully corrected and account for all of this. But a republishing of the 2020 census, which is completely legal, despite what the left will try to say, is inherently justified by every means, just based on the sheer amount of miscounts, overcounts, undercounts, the corruption of differential privacy, the counting of illegals for the purposes of creating political districts. None of this should be permissible, and yet that's exactly what these Obama bureaucrats did on the last census.
What state is the worst?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What state would be the worst offender? What state is the least accurate? What state did we miss the mark most wildly?
Texas was the one that was undercounted the most. And this is another important distinction. There were a lot of errors that the census admitted to. Almost all of them went, in fact, all of them essentially went to the benefit of Democrats and to the detriment of Republicans. Okay, that could be just a chance, but given the totality of the circumstances here, I think that we should assume that that wasn't just by chance. It may be chance, but we should assume that something nefarious was done here. If that is the case, people should be held responsible.
Wade Miller for the Center for Renewing America. Super quick. Trump on his Truth Social said, quote, "What we learned from data from the 2024 election," 30 seconds. What did he mean by that?
Well, one, that illegals were counted, that there were massive undercounts and overcounts. This was publicly admitted by the Census Bureau in 2021. And also, I think an element of this is differential privacy. The admin knows that they are masking data and that no one, even other federal agencies, don't know this. I could come on here and do a whole segment on the ability of municipalities all over the country suing the federal government on not being paid as much as they could because the census undercounted them for purposes of federal grants and federal funds.
Wade Miller, thank you so much. Again, from the Center for Renewing America, thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
It's time for us to play hardball. That means redoing the census, republishing the census. Minnesota got an extra electoral vote by 26 people. 26 people. Obviously fraudulent. Next hour, we have our members call. If you want to call in and join the program, become a member today, members.charliekirk.com. That's members.charliekirk.com. We could we could add 30 to 40 congressional seats if we redo the census correctly. Second hour coming up. Folks, let me